All right, welcome to the February 7th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting. I will be chairing the meeting on behalf of Mayor Irvin because he's on holidays, but he is joining us by Zoom, as is Councillor Paquette joining us on Zoom tonight. So thank you. Maybe we have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda. I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you. Can we have a motion to adopt the draft minutes from the regular meeting of January 17th, 2023?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of January 17th, 2023.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Comments? Sorry. Okay. And then can we have a motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $463,732.01?
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables of $460,732.01.
You.
I'll second that.
Thanks. Comments? Dale.
Okay. So isn't that 60988?
That we were talking about
That's the
Arkwright Northern, and that is for the progress payment for the change room upgrades.
And then 60997.
That was SMS.
No, that's the nugget.
Oh, the Nugget.
Yeah.
So the Nugget is the staff count.
Okay, 61005.
That is Twilight Service. That is for our fertilizer for the year.
And then 61011.
And that is SMS equipment. That is for the loader bucket and forks from the 2022 capital budget.
Okay, that's all.
Councillor Slager.
My question revolved around the amount of Northwest South Inc. invoices.
Yes. So the reason that there's 2 months on there, and I explained it to his worship earlier, but I was actually wrong because remember we had 2 meetings back to back last month. So those bills came in and didn't get on the meeting that we had payables. So there's 2 months there's 2 sets of payables on this row.
Okay, so that would explain the double ATCO.
Yes.
Double, okay.
Okay.
Well,
And the gross difference between the $32,000 bill, MACA 1 month as compared to the 13.8, or is that just their billing cycle? Due to the holidays when they actually got a chance to read the meter?
Yeah, some of it was estimated, and then it's the man charges too, right? So, and then some of our lighting stuff kicked in as well, so it changed it a bit.
And last but not least, 61038. Yukon Yamaha.
Yukon Yamaha, that is the floating dock for Lucky Lake out of the 2022 capital budget.
Oh, okay.
I can give you a couple more, sorry. 60995.
60.
The
Where are you getting 60?
first page, 60995, it's on my.
There we go. 60, yeah. Ion Kachika, so that is Ion Kachika, so that is the work on the excavator, the landfill, the lost stuff. There's numerous bills there, but the biggest part of that bill is the excavator.
Oh, for me.
All the ones that I had questions on have already been asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Mayor
Yeah,
Irvin.
the questions that I wanted were already asked, so thank you.
Okay, great. So all in favor? Great. Okay, so next we do have the RCMP here as a delegation. We have Sergeant Jordan Cropper and Constable Brandon Gilroy is here as well. Hello, welcome. So we want to officially welcome you to Watson Lake on behalf of Mayor and Council and the town of Watson Lake. Looking forward to working with you over the next months, hopefully years. We see you brought the January 2023 policing report with you. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, we didn't get it before now. So we're hoping that you would kind of just go over that. And also, if you don't mind to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm originally from the Yukon, was born in Kamloops, lived there for about a month or so, and then went to Whitehorse. I grew up here until I was in high school and Northern Ireland. It's recruited out of Chilliwack. Spent 12 years in the force right now. A majority has been through northern British Columbia, and then did a little bit of service down in Lower Mainland. My background with policing so far as an operations NCO, Indigenous Police Services, crisis negotiating, and the kind of list goes on. It's I guess we wear different roles we have. So we're here for the next 3 years is what we're planning for, if not a little bit longer, and we can extend up to 3 years, but it's taken a long time to get here. Was in Port Nelson before a depot, so I've been trying to get here for quite some time, and I couldn't make it there, so now it's worked out, which is for our family's best. So I come here with my wife and 3 kids, so we're pretty active.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you. So yeah, the police report is just going over it from this year to last year. We've got a drop in files. Couldn't figure out if there was any reasons to that. It's about 20-ish files that were less. Violent crimes are down, and I didn't see an increase in any other levels overall. For community involvement, Corporal O'Connell, Council Gilroy, been playing hockey out in the community quite a lot. Council Henderson is also doing the learning skate, so she's been out doing that as well, which is good to see. I know that's been lacking over the last few years, involvement, and it's something that we want to continue to go forward with. Offender management, we've had a couple of arrests take place recently. We've had some outstanding warrants. One had quite a lot. He was picked up in Alberta, and they were able to arrange it to have those warrants extended, and so he's been released on undertaking with appearance coming up here pretty soon. For traffic and safety visibility, we've increased. There's been 60 periods last month. We are in the process of trying to get another person trained on the oximeter, which is the breathalyzer, to get those criminal charges. So we have someone identified that's going to be coming up for training in April, especially with the changeover bodies right now. We only have one person trained right now. We're also working with our carrier compliance transport services and conservation, looking at in the next few months to do another joint force check stop. So all of us kind of looking at our own little wheelhouse, but helping each other out. Do one in the spring, and then we'll be doing one in the fall as well. In the past month, so I came in January 12th when I got here. So certainly get to know the community, see what type of files we have here. We were selected, I'm not too sure if the council has been made aware of it, but we've been selected for a pilot project by National HQ to do a pilot project pre-charge diversion. So essentially we've been given the reins to divert a lot of charges away from court and into May Stewart's hands to prevent the charges going forward. So a lot of these we're looking at like assaults, thefts, impaired drivings, depending on what that is, and the parameters around that we're still ironing out, and we're looking at going live March 1st. So that's a huge thing that we're changing on. We're trying out here within Watson, and then eventually, if it's successful, we're looking at a year's program, looking at it to run for a year, and then after the year's time, it'll go through the division. So the main files we had this last month, we had a home invasion, which I know was on Facebook there through the community. There's a lot of concern about that. What I can say is it's not a random attack, it's a targeted incident. We haven't seen any escalation since. We've been following with the victim on that one, and he didn't have 2 years also taking place. We're still investigating that occurred, so we're not going to be sharing too much information what's taking place or if we suspect anybody, but it is on the line still. We did have an assault with a weapon. The person has been arrested, and we are forwarding charges on that. So that is going to take place. The injury is very superficial, so luckily it was just terrible decisions at a terrible time. We had one mental health case that's been coming up. We've shared it with mental health community workers as well as other community partners that are involved in this client. They started increasing threats towards police. And as a result of that, we've kind of put some parameters in place, making sure the community partners are aware of that if they're going to that house. And that there was a arrest warrant that was shared on the Yukon Facebook page, so we really want to thank the youth, the Watson Lake community for actually letting us know about the person in town. It was a lot of coordination from community members telling us where the guy was, that actually resulted in the arrest of that person for the warrants, but also possession of stolen property, and I think it was driving was disqualified, so we're gonna start charges forward on that too. The possession of stolen property we managed to return back to their owner, so it's kind of working on that, but couldn't have done that without the community, which is absolutely awesome to see. Currently we have 3 guards and we're looking up for more. We have 1 application that's in the process and we're working on another application that just started this week.
Is there any way to streamline that whole process? Because I know it seems a very lengthy, like almost by the time you get interested in going there and becoming a guard, a year later, in one instance, I'm thinking of, did they finally actually serve their first shift?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is there anything they could do to like,
So the streamline process, a lot of it gets hooked up with a security clearance at headquarters. So we have built a security application, do that initial check. When we send it off, it's the verification and come back to say they're accepted. That's usually what the holdup is. I know 1 guard application that recently came to my desk. It's been sitting in the process of some unit for quite some time. So I talked to district and they've had someone assigned to it now. So someone else is looking at that because we know we need more guards. And of course, the interest goes away, as you said, after quite some time.
yeah, because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go help them, then, oh, I guess they really don't want me. No, just that.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions, comments? Mayor Irvin?
I'd just like to echo Councillor Hanchar and welcome you to the community. Sorry I can't be there in person. Well, not that sorry. Thank you for the policing report. And we did speak with Mike O'Connell last time he was in, but we're looking forward to collaborating for your annual, I believe it's your annual, help me. Priorities, yes. So, yeah, we're hoping to be a part of that. So whenever that can take place, we look forward to that. And it was nice meeting you the other day. Thank you for coming to the open house. I did notice that you had your Kuyu jacket on, which means you're a hunter. So I'm sure you'll find your way in the Yukon, no problem. That's it for me. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so thank you very much for coming. Nice to meet you. And yeah, we'll see you again for sure.
Thank you.
Nice day. See you, Brandon. All right, so now we have a couple pieces of correspondence that one is a response to a letter that we sent out, and the other one is a letter to us. I will read them both, but we'll talk about each separately. Okay, so the first one was a response to the letter that we sent out regarding trapping within municipal boundaries. So as we all know, there was a tragedy where somebody lost their pet due to traps in an area that may or may not have been marked. We don't know. Anyway, we had a discussion about it. We decided that we were going to send a letter to environment asking them to take some steps to either increase the signage or do some sort of public awareness campaign, you know, whatever. So we sent the letter out, I don't remember when, but Mayor Irvin was in receipt of a letter back on January 12th from the Director of Conservation Officer Services, and it says, thank you for your it says January 4th, we sent it, okay. Thank you for your January 4th, 2023 letter regarding the tragic incident in Watson Lake. The Conservation Officer Services branch investigated the incident and is exploring ways to improve communication with the public about trapping in the territory. We are working with the Yukon Trappers Association and municipalities on a number of steps, including increasing public education and awareness of trapping, concession locations, season dates, familiarity with trapping area signage, etc. Issuing seasonal trapping date reminders in September via radio ads and social media, using social media reminders throughout the season on the Conservation Officer Services Facebook page. They will share the link so that we can share it. And encouraging trappers to post additional area signage, especially near communities or popular trails. So, and then they say your suggestion to increase the size of active trapping area signs is a good idea. We are exploring ways to improve the sign size, text, and imagery. Thank you again for your concern and suggestions. So that's kind of where we're at with that. That's just an FYI from what I understand. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so the next letter we got was from President Laking from the Association of Yukon Communities regarding climate adaptation and climate resilient infrastructure. And we got this on January 25th, 2023. So it says, I am writing you today in advance of the 2023 federal budget in order to assist the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, or FCM, in their lobbying efforts on behalf of municipal governments from across the country. One of the key priorities that FCM is advocating to be included in the upcoming budget is for increased funding and support for climate adaptation and resilience. Yukon communities are acutely aware of impacts of climate change, as we have unfortunately seen an increasing number of devastating events, from fires, floods, snow, to landslides that have negatively impacted our communities in recent years. This summer, FCM submitted recommendations for the National Adaptation Strategy. Among the 24 recommendations was a call on the federal government to rapidly scale up investment in resilient public infrastructure and nature-based solutions for communities of all sizes, to invest in climate data and local and regional climate risk and vulnerability assessments. It further called for a buildup of local capacity for planning, studies, pilots, and capital projects that will ensure municipalities of all sizes can better generate local solutions that mitigate extreme weather and ease adaptation to this new reality. FCM is hoping to see new investments in budget 2023 that are commensurate with the risk presented by climate change. This includes an immediate $2 billion increase to the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund and at least $1 billion per year in ongoing funding for disaster mitigation infrastructure. These are not small considerations, but they are not optional either. If all orders of government are going to better protect Canadians from extreme weather that shutters small businesses, destroys homes, and disrupts major industries, we need aggressive targets, and we need decisive action by the 2023 federal budget. Throughout my community visits this year, I have heard of challenges associated with the existing design of federal funding programs when it comes to addressing climate adaptation and resiliency. If you are able to provide local examples of the type of essential projects your community would like to move forward with to adapt to the realities of climate change that currently do not fit within any existing federal funding envelopes, please feel free to share them with us. We will provide this information to FCM so that they can advise the federal government using real-world examples of critical gaps on how they can improve their program design. So looking for input, I just wasn't sure if they were looking, so I mean, it very clearly says types of projects, types of essential projects that we would like to move forward. But then it says kind of to, so that they can improve their program design for the funding. So does anyone have any comments on that to start? Anyone? So I guess if we were talking about potential projects, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this or not, but I thought of a couple, I guess. I think things like cutting a fire break around the town.
Yeah, like fire smarting.
Fire smarting and clearing a forest overgrowth within the municipal boundaries. Possibly funding to engage Liard First Nation on what role the town will play in any potential future flooding in Upper Liard, if any. Like that's not really.
But is there already funding for that? Like under umbrella for that or no?
I'm
Because it said-
talking about funding for us to engage them.
No, I know, but they're asking for examples that aren't already covered.
Because they're in AOC, I think they are covered.
You know what I mean? Like they're asking, like, I don't know, that's why I'm just asking, like, they're asking for
Yeah.
examples sort of that aren't covered under that funding umbrella.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Sorry, potentially backup power or generators for the water plant and or the rec center. I was thinking maybe that's where we get the extra heat source for the rec center. Because that's our emergency shelter should something happen. Anyway, these are just ideas, maybe, you know. And or potential like ways to keep the lights and heat on at the recplex, I guess, as an emergency shelter. And this is like a long shot pipe dream, but connecting us to the BC grid. So those are things that I was thinking of.
This is Danina speaking here at the moment. So the other thing I was thinking, if we had a forest fire, so those are things that would be something to think about as well. We don't have a lot of snow this year, and so I think forest fires are gonna be a particular problem. So if we had, so if actual electric burnt to the ground, then we have no electricity to the town, things like that, right?
Thank you.
Those kind of things, yeah.
Okay, your worship, I can update you that there's applications out now for Fire Smart. We were just assessing if we're gonna run it this year. In the past, there's been challenges getting people to bid on it. So that's something that the fire chief's looking at currently. And I've been in correspondence, as you may remember, council's been included in some correspondence going back over the last number of years with the community wildfire protection plan, which is done through Wildland Fire. So it's been an ongoing thing, but it's been a revolving door out at the Wildland Fire Base of personnel. So as of this week, I received an email from, if you bear with me, his name is Mark Hill. So Sunday I received an email, and it was regards to an email from a community member that went out to them and myself, looking for the status of the Yukon community wildfire plans for Watson Lake. And so the response was, currently there's no community wildland fire protection plan fully developed for the community of Watson Lake. We have now a permanent regional protection manager whose name is Randy Mitten. So it must be the new guy out of Wildland Fire. His name is Randy Mitten for the Watson Lake region, who is now permanently based in Watson Lake. He'll be working to develop the community wildfire protection plan. And so I'm going to be reaching out. He was CC'd in the email along with a few others. So I'll be reaching out to push that. So that type of stuff's already in the work.
So I'm just saying, as far as like responding to this letter, though, that those are types of projects that we want to see continue and go forward. So
Yeah, but I think there is, your worship. I
There's
think
already
there's
monies
already
happening.
Money set aside for them.
okay,
And
I follow you.
same with the rec center upgrades, I believe now with the new proposals coming forward. I had another email from another funding source that talks about the new funding coming from Ottawa will be based on that type of stuff, climate change, green stuff. So I'm hoping based on the scoping for the rec center that we can twist it, because doing insulation package and all that is helping with climate change.
That's, yeah, and I mean, that's honestly where my brain went right away was, I know that we have at some point are gonna have to really think about the heating situation over there and
It's actually
like secondary to
It's actually in the
distribute, so.
2023 capital budget that you guys will receive next month. The heating system work is already underway.
Okay.
But so yeah, so by reading this email, I can't think of anything that sticks out that there isn't funding sources
Already
that for the stuff that we need, but that's not to say that something might not come up. But right now, I think everything is that we're looking or need to do for our community, there is a funding source in the works.
Okay.
If that
How
makes-
about, sorry,
Yep.
touch in there. How about an emergency plan? I know we
Yeah,
talked about it in the past. I
Yeah.
don't know if we ever completed one. I haven't seen one, but if we can get one written or do some research or some funding to have that accomplished. I don't know what exists.
Yeah,
CA
so-
Lockwood?
Yeah, so your worship, we actually have, we have our old plan and, the Fire Chief O'Hara is working with EMO to try and ascertain them getting us either the body down here to help us get it updated, or provide us funding or a source where we can go to actually contract somebody to do it. Because it's a big deal and there's organizations out there that can do it. So it's a matter of chasing them to ante up some pennies to the pot, but it's also eligible funding, I believe, through our gas tax and stuff, so we can do it. But Chief O'Hara is working on that as well. As you know, his list of things since taking over the department is rather long over there, but
Yep.
Emergency plan is high on his list. He's been also meeting already with the hospital corp and the schools and trying to get their stuff in line as well, because that all plays into the emergency plan. So
Yeah, of course. And so hopefully that maybe this funding, maybe this is something that AYC could help with throughout the Yukon. I mean, every community is going to need an emergency plan. I know we've discussed it in the past. And as far as municipalities go, I know, well, I'm under the understanding that when we're in an emergency and we have to declare an emergency, that is council's one liability. And when we have to have that issue. So if we don't have a proper emergency plan in place, then it can be very concerning.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
So,
Anything else?
This is Janina. So Cam, when you talk about those other funding sources, are they going to be sufficient, the funding that's available with those other sources?
I honestly don't know right now because I haven't met with Colin over the last 2 weeks. I've been busy on other stuff to see what he learned, because he was up in Whitehorse for the fire chiefs meetings, and we haven't sat down to talk since then. But I know that's one of the things he was going to ask about while he was up there.
Thank you.
All right, well. Do you need any more than
I think that's good.
that? Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll move on. CAO report, CAO Lockwood.
Yeah, no, I mean, my report's gonna be really brief because of the fact that I've been tied up with union negotiation, union bargaining prep last week. And this week, we've been strictly in union bargaining. We actually broke off tonight so we could have the council meeting. So we're back in bargaining again, first thing tomorrow morning. I'm happy to announce that Glenn is back off of short-term disability after his surgery, and he's back in the office, which takes a lot off of my plate, and so we're moving ahead. We are down Sterling currently at the water treatment plant. He had to have surgery in his hand, so we're down to one operator at the plant right at the moment, but we're working our way through it. And the other thing Shannon and I have been working on is cleaning up the budgets to come to council. So that's about all I got. Any questions when it gets to council or council?
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to quarterly department reports. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review those.
I'm gonna start first.
Just sorry, let me just find my pages here. Sorry, guys. Just
Oh, bylaw.
pick one. Sure, let's start with bylaw. Thanks.
So read bylaws quarterly reports. One thing I did really like, a suggestion that our bylaw officer had was recognizing the work that Cheryl has done with yarns. And I do think that we should do something to recognize her her efforts in the past. Like she didn't start off doing it for any sort of notoriety or recognition, but I do think that after doing something for so long, and being so passionate about it and helping out the community in such a great way, that we need to think of something, whether that's a gift that could come out of our PR budget or any ideas going forward, or an award, a trophy,
Yeah, your worship, I agree. It's a huge loss for the community and we need to recognize her. And I think this sort of plays into something that we've been lacking in the community probably for the last, well, since before COVID. But remember, we used to have the community dinner for the volunteers of different groups. And I think that's really lacking because we're not acknowledging the people that do all the hard work at minor hockey, the ski hill, all that to make our community a better place to live, right? And so I think if we implemented that type of dinner, and then we could actually call somebody up like Cheryl to actually present her with something at a community dinner.
Volunteer
full of
appreciation
volunteer community dinner, right?
If we had the dinner and we made the dinner a regular thing again, could we not get a trophy that had volunteer of the year?
You betcha. Yeah, if council wanted to do that, we definitely could.
I love that.
I do too.
You know, because I think that right there would,
We do it in the spring.
We can do it anytime the council would like to aim for.
I like spring.
That's sort of the quiet time before people get out and about again, right?
Mhm.
Mid to late April perhaps, or you're thinking early May?
Whenever it starts to be nice out.
I would say,
We'll have, we'll also have AYC in May, so we should maybe do it before that.
Yeah,
But I think that's a great idea because it has been lacking and we haven't acknowledged that, and to maybe set a little bit of funds aside for, like Thomas said, a trophy or an annual plaque. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree as well. Thank you for bringing that forward, Thomas.
Could we maybe just have administration draw up what a plan might look like and give us a small budget as to what a trophy might cost and what we, you know, what you think would be sufficient for a dinner annually?
yeah, I think like a plaque and then a small plaque that people can have at home type thing. Yeah,
so just a side idea, like that could be like the main one, like the overall volunteer of the year, but I remember in the past that each organization or group or whatever was able to nominate like their top person as well. And I don't know if that person also gets like, I don't know, something, well, whatever. No, or just a shout out or whatever, like
That's right.
this was the top one for minor hockey, or this was the top one for, I don't know, something like that.
Overall, this is one that was.
Yeah, and then there was a list, and then there was like a big list every year of all the volunteers.
Yeah. So I think
Well,
based on Mayor Urban's motion there, I think administration will work towards a plan and bring it back to council for you guys to review.
Sounds great.
I like that idea
I'll
and
second that.
figure out which way we want to go with it, but at least we're going in the right direction.
Um,
Can I just ask a question? I'm just wondering, where are all these trophies and plaques being housed at? Just because I know you in the Mez, there's that old case there with all these trophies and whatnot in there. And I'm just wondering, what's gonna become of all that stuff that's lived there for a very long time? And then where all the new stuff is gonna be hosted?
Well, that is a very good question. There definitely needs to be a major cleaning and revisit of that over there. Yeah, so, but I honestly think if it's a volunteer plaque, it needs to be in the entranceway where people are coming in. And that way it's, people see from year to year, sorry. But I'm sorry, we got a little bit off track from the quarterly reports. A lot of this should have been done in Councillor open forum, but
Okay.
that's fine, we'll adapt it.
okay, so I just had one, I guess. I'll bring it up later about that. Okay, so let's move on. Anybody else have any comments about the bylaw report?
A bylaw I thought was perfect. Obviously, she's put a lot of effort towards animal control, which is great. I would just suggest and hope that she can put a little bit of priority towards parking in the summer. Maybe come up with some plan as to diversion and stopping people from parking where they shouldn't be. You know, maybe a little push on the what is it? Wheelchair accessibility signs, etc. Just around the town, because I know that in our zoning bylaw, we kind of put that in there. So hopefully she can work on some of that.
Yes, no problem.
Okay,
We asking questions now about the bylaw, or are we gonna do that in open
we're
forum?
discussing the bylaw thing right now. So if you have a comment on it, let's hear it right now.
Okay, so I just wondered, Cam, what kind of equipment has she ordered? She just says in there that she's ordered some equipment, so I just wasn't sure what she had ordered.
Yeah, it's all safety equipment and dog traps. But a lot of it is safety equipment. Unfortunately, the only support, there's two suppliers. One is in Ontario and the other one is in the US. And costs are very expensive, but so yeah, she's ordered 2 dog traps, live traps, not traps, live catch pens, catch poles, so that way if she has a dog, like a long catch pole with the noose on it, safety gloves, animal control leashes, because probably 90% of the dogs she catches don't have collars on. So there's a new type of leash which actually has the collar. It's sort of a piece of it. It's like a loop with a ring, and it's designed especially for humane dog catching activities. So that's what she's ordered, that type of stuff. And some dog beds and that type of thing. So
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like it'll definitely make her job a little bit safer for sure. So it's great. Thanks.
Councilor Brutus?
no,
Okay, so let's move on. Finance report. Any comments, questions?
yeah, your worship, it's
Right.
so early in the year, it's hard to.
Yeah, so it's mostly just an FYI,
Mhm.
lots of pages on that.
And this is based off of the provisional O&M budget is what you have in front of you, because we haven't passed the O&M budget.
Right.
No provisional that you have approved already.
I did, I was, sorry, Cam, cut you off. Question about audit time is when?
Audit time is actually, they started already.
Okay.
Our audit started in end of November, beginning of December. And I think you might remember over the last couple of years, when we met with the auditors, they said if they could actually start on doing their sampling pulls before Christmas, it would save us money because everything's done remotely. And that way, when they start working on the full part of the audit, which is scheduled for the week of March 10th, the 6th to 10th, whatever the Monday is in March, that week, 6th to 10th, and that's when it's planned for. And then they will be briefing Shannon, myself, and yourself, Mayor, on the 10th, I believe, is what they're looking at right now of March, if you're in the community. So,
10th of March, okay.
and that has to be done because we have to present our books to YG, right? And has to be adopted by council through motion.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to the Protective Services Fire Department report prepared by Chief O'Hara.
So a quick comment regarding the quarterly report there. As a past firefighter myself, I understand that I was noticing in one of the part there, it said that there was a question about people's commitment to the fire department, and my only words of advice, cautionary tale, is that it's about camaraderie. It's not about the $20 an hour that you get on a call. I can tell you, you're not going out there for the money. You're doing it because you're doing it as a service to your community. for the firefighter beside you. And again, that camaraderie plays a huge role in developing a strong team that can trust each other. And, but also keeping it fun. Keeping it fun is a big part of it as well. And not being, sometimes you gotta like, you do a very serious job. And sometimes you need to be able to take a step back and enjoy each other's company and joke around, and just, it's not always about the task at hand. Sometimes it's about just building those friendship bonds and just hanging out. So I would say, don't be too, and here's the thing, when you're the person who's paid to be there, you care a lot about it. When you're a volunteer guy and it's just something to do on a Thursday night in between of the crazy calls that come in. Your perspective on how people showing up is a lot different than the other person who's doing it, to fill up their Thursday night, not because, they missed the boat and they could have been a firefighter and now they want to like live some childhood dream. That's not what it's about. It's the camaraderie. So I just want to caution and say, keep it fun.
Yeah, in your worship, I can comment on that. The comment around that is the fact that right now, we're really lacking on our regulatory side, and right now it's the mandatory training. Otherwise, if the members aren't turning out for the training right now, they won't be able to attend fire calls. So hence the reason about, there's been meetings with all the members, and they were committed to taking the training and getting themselves back in good standing. And if they're not in good standing, unfortunately, they won't be able to attend fire calls. So they're cutting themselves out of that camaraderie side of it by not getting themselves up to standards so they can actually attend.
Gotcha, because the last time we were at this meeting, we had 18 members and everything was fabulous.
Yeah, but the trouble was we've learned now with a full-time chief that the training standards were not up to par, and we've had to address that issue. And the communication's been very clear with the members on the fire department.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate how detailed the report is, and I appreciate the work that's being done to get us into good standing and get everything current.
You can
I
learn.
would just like to applaud Chief O'Hara as well. I think that upholding a level of safety really helps with our liability issues. And I understand where Thomas is coming from, but I think there's some things that should be prioritized, and I think that he's doing a great job. So.
Thank you.
Guys, I definitely want to echo that as well. I think that I really appreciate the fact that he's getting things up to code. And and that the volunteers do understand that. So I think, yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, your worship, and too, we also had a whole bunch of members that had stepped away from the department have actually come back now. Because of the fact that we are implementing the training and stuff, and it's actually structured training instead of just people showing up and doing whatever they wanted to do. It's actually, we have Tyson Cole on staff as well for the 3 months, and it's a structured training. So the guys know on Tuesday night fire practice, this is what we're doing, and they know they can plan for it. And some of the guys' certifications on some of those things are still good, so that they don't have to take it. But even a lot of the old members have stepped up now and are coming in and enjoying it because it's a refresher, and then they're helping the new members on the department work their way through it as well.
Sounds great.
And Cam, I've heard the same thing in the community. So yeah, it's definitely, really, the volunteers are definitely appreciating the refresher and the structure that is happening for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to solid waste.
I like the pie chart.
Oh,
Very well.
I hadn't seen that.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
That's
I would have to agree. I actually appreciated that pie chart. But my comment to follow with that is just trying to open it, that, our unsorted waste, obviously the highest, right? And it really just makes it obvious and highlighted, we should really make some push to decrease that. I mean, that's only gonna help our landfill, and, you know, it was just blaringly obvious that people are not making the effort to sort or use the new compost or, you know, separate things. So I think that there should be a little bit of education around that.
You were saying, sorry, you're saying that unsorted was the highest?
Yeah, well, metals,
Unsorted waste.
he's looking at waste, he's not talking about the metals.
When you're talking unsorted, does that mean it's just all garbage, compost, recyclables are all in the same bag? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, everything that goes into the help me.
C and D sorted.
I think so, the public waste drop off.
Oh, and unsorted, Jim.
Yeah, like whenever we can get to that point, because then they'll be marked.
Yes, your worship, I think the public waste drop off will definitely help us on that. But the biggest thing that's been hurting us on unsorted is the fact that people can't hire people to actually sort the stuff out. So for a commercial hauler, it's cheaper for them to pay the higher rate to dispose of unsorted than it is sorted. And it's a struggle everywhere. In our solid waste management plan that I had to submit for the next 10 years, starting in 2023, I had to actually address types of things that we would be doing to bring our diversion rates higher. And a lot of that was based on education and actually having the public waste drop-off area where we got a staff member that, you know, that'll be floating around and actually watching and helping, directing people to the proper locations will be huge. And then the other thing that I've been working on is actually the bigger compost side, so that organics aren't going into landfill, which cuts down on our leachates, and our volume in the pit as well.
And is that something that's collected all year round?
We wouldn't be collecting the compost, it would be a compost.
No, I mean, but people can dump it there
they can
year
dump
round?
it Year round, yeah.
Okay, it's not like seasonal or whatever.
No,
Okay.
and I'm dealing with a consultant to provide us a cost on giving us estimates on how to set it up, a proper program. But still not including pickup, because once you go to pickup of organics or compost or recycling, the operating costs go right through the roof, right? So, but at least if we have it where people can buy into it. And right now with the current composting we're doing in the cell, in the trench there, we've been very restrictive as to who can participate, because it's been a trial thing, and we're trying not to make a mess or create a disaster that we're gonna have to spend a lot of money to fix, because people feel when they haul their grass clippings out in the bag that says it's compostable, it means it could automatically go in. Well, no, because it won't in this type of environment. It won't be great, so that stuff can't be put in. So we have to be really cautious on how to do that program.
So I'm just wondering how they come up with those numbers, only because how do they know what when the guys are picking it up from home is what they're actually picking up?
Well,
So are they
because
basing it most of it on commercial that's going into the dump?
no, so unsorted, so curbside is the big part that comes, the big part that came in, but it's declared waste at the scales when people are coming in. So when our scale attendant questions people about, you know, what do you have today, you know, and that's when they declare what they have, and it fits into any of those categories, and then it's by weight.
The other thing is that truck going through the fence and stuff, like, is that like insurance
Well-
for that, like?
Where the truck going through the fence, we've demanded that, First Casca provide us with their insurance information because, and it's been a struggle. And if not, if we can't get the final results on that, then it goes through our insurance and our insurance companies goes after them.
Okay.
Legally.
Yeah, that's all, I just, cause I don't wanna pay for that.
No.
But can we also just say, hey, just fix the fence?
Well, it's bigger than that because we have to bring in a
Electric
certified
fence.
contractor to do it because it's, and the fence has to be fixed as soon as we can, but it's also because we have requirements on the electric fence and the whole 9 yards, it's caused a whole bunch of things. And they just sort of washed their hands of it. So I
Did we
think
get the truck out of there?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just wondering,
Yeah, we
it
had-
just seems like it's.
Yeah, no, we had to go cut off fence posts and do a whole bunch of stuff to get their truck out of there. But their truck was so heavily over, it should have never been on the road in the first place. But, so anyways, we're dealing with it through our insurance and, one way or another, it's gonna be fixed and then our insurance company will be going after them for the damages.
Yeah, that's all I had there. That's about that.
And as you can see, to go with Mayor Urban's, comment, we're talking about posters and brochures to go out in the mail as well, right?
Great. Anything else for solid waste? Okay, moving on. We have Parks and Rec. Any comments? I
No
don't know.
comments from me.
I don't really have any comments
Not at all. No.
either.
Works?
All right.
I don't remember that I had any questions about it. It's just taking a long time to download, sorry.
Sorry, so let's move on to Public Works. And utilities. At the same time. I have a question.
Yep.
Regarding utilities. There's a thing here where it says that, we are currently losing approximately 500, which I believe is cubic meters of water per day through leaks in the ground. I'm just wondering how that's still happening, how they can't find where that is when we have that new equipment.
Trouble was, we ended up in the winter and couldn't fix some of the leaks that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just like on the plan for
Yeah,
whenever it thaws out.
Utilities has a list going of planned digs for the spring. And that's where we'll be knocking them off as we go.
And was there any like detrimental after effects to us for losing as much water as we did to that accident over at the seniors complex at Christmas?
No, the reservoir refilled and away we went. So,
Okay,
Last, the properties at the lean-to shed from the old recycling depot, they moved that, and using that for storage, great. The old blue building that's still there, we own that lot.
no, we don't.
We don't?
It's a lease. We pay $300 a year to lease the property and the building.
Oh, so the blue building
Is owned by
YTG?
YTG.
That's right, because it was built as a shop project.
So
can we ask them to get rid of the building?
we're using it.
Oh,
So we don't want
okay.
to use it. For $300 a year, that's the cheapest storage building.
That's
ever come
unsightly.
through us.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Any,
That's it. Just maybe think about the use of that building, whether or not it was being used. I didn't want to tear it down, but
Yeah, no, it's actually full.
okay.
it's also nice to see how much training is gonna be happening for people. I saw at CTTS that we got approved for a bunch of stuff that either is happening or already happened. So that's, love to see it.
Yeah, we've started doing, actually run a couple in-house training courses in the new training room at the Municipal Services Building. That's been very nice because we've been able to bring firefighters in that have needed training and also our other staff that's been in need of training as well. So, and incorporate it all into one.
Run your own first aid or whatever,
Gotcha.
whatever. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And actually the college came over and actually taught in our facility.
And have you had any other rentals of that space yet? Because that room is
Yeah.
a rental,
We
right? So,
haven't, and up until now, we haven't had the tables and stuff, and the tables and chairs just arrived. But so far, everybody's still renting at the rec center, and I prefer, as long as we got people, space at the rec center, that will rent it, but the minute that we have more people looking for more bookings and space, then we'll get them over to the new building.
cool. I think that's it for me, Mayor Urban. Janina, anything further?
So I just wanna, yeah, say that there was a lot of people that were really happy with and I'm quite impressed with the new municipal building. And, you know, it's really nice to see that there's a good fleet of, you know, equipment and vehicles, so that you're right, it definitely makes things a lot cheaper in the long run. And just, you know, a shout out to Public Works that, you know, always fill in when something's going on with the garbage man or however, so, yeah, so thanks.
Yeah, and shout out to those guys over there, how many comments and compliments we got and how good the equipment looks. Yeah, it was really nice to see, and it was really nice to host everybody over there. I think that was a good event.
I would also like to say thanks to the Public Works guys that stuck it out that day and were very, they embraced the situation and were, you know, giving everybody a good tour, and it was just nice to see everybody there. But that's all I have for comments on Public Works and Utilities.
Okay, thank you. So let's carry on then. The next thing we have is the outstanding property tax listing. So we're not gonna read this out or go through it right now, but what we're looking for is a motion to approve the TL1 tax lien summary so that administration can proceed with the first stages of the tax lien process.
And your worship, this is based on the requirements under the Tax Assessment Act. Council must approve it because we have to, under law, post any outstanding taxes from the last year in the Yukon News by a certain date. So it's regulatory.
Okay,
So Cam, what happens after this? I don't know a whole lot about outstanding property tax.
Yeah, so there's timelines on when we have to post it in the paper, and then I can't remember if it's 6 months after the date of publishment, then we can submit paperwork, which puts the lien on the property, which then goes on the title. And then if people still don't come in, then so many months after we file the next documents, which more documentation goes to the owners telling them that you're behind on your taxes. You got XYZ to pay. And then finally, at probably the 18-month stage, which would be, you know, almost 2 years from when taxes were due, then we can, if there's been no attempts to pay, then we can actually apply to the mediation board to have title of the properties transferred to the town. It's the last resort, and in between that time period, Shannon's finance staff are actually working diligently with these property owners to get them to come in and comply. And if it's a matter of, you know, we can't afford to pay the whole amount right now, but we could do monthly, then we will enter into payment agreements with them. So we're doing our damnedest to not get to that final stage.
because it's also a lengthy and laborious
Yes. And
process.
very regulated. So anyways, this is just the first step. And this is just from this year. So the ones from last year, I think you guys had a report a while ago about the status on the ones that we are working on. We're very close to taking, we're just waiting on transfer title on a couple other properties right now to the town. So unfortunately.
But there isn't anything crazy in there like $20,000 owing like we've seen in the past too, right? That's
No, the
No.
amounts are way down because we've been chasing them hard.
So can we get a motion?
Make a motion to proceed to the next step on the outstanding property tax listings.
I'll second.
Thank you for clarifying that, Sam. I mean,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, CAO. Awkward. So the next thing on the agenda is the Association of Yukon Communities AGM, and I'll start anyway. So basically, there've been a few of us that have been meeting, Cam, Tiffany, Shelley and David from AYC and myself, we met last week, just to start, getting the plan together. And so far, just what do you call it? I don't know what the words are. Anyway, right now, the rough outline of how things are going to go is Thursday night, there will be a meet and greet in town in the evening at the ski chalet. So people will be arriving to town, they'll be checking in, they'll be coming to the ski chalet, there'll be cocktails, there'll be appies, etc. The next day, Saturday, the conference will begin, or sorry, Friday, the conference will begin. Friday night will be AYC's auction and banquet night at the rec center. Saturday, the conference will continue all day. Saturday evening is our night, the host evening. So will be a barbecue and activities. I don't know. We don't know what yet. And then Sunday, of course, will be the business meeting. So we're still in the process of striking our subcommittee for the games and excitement portion, which I think we agreed to do as council. But basically that's where we're at, just real, I guess, high level. Okay,
Yes.
so
Your worship, and just to follow up on that, and we're currently working with our community advisor on looking at resolution to put forward.
great. Yes,
So that will be
more on that coming
coming
soon.
back to council.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam, can I just, did you have anything further with Mike about just bringing up old resolutions, or were we hoping to create a new one?
We're working on both of those.
Both avenues, your worship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Councillor Sliger, did you have something to add?
Council.
Okay, sure. Councillor Paquette? No?
No.
All right, so then that brings us to our final thing here, which is the community lottery fund applications, and I'm hoping Councillor Sliger that you will speak to those.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we met last week, last Tuesday at 6 actually. And so we had several applicants, as you can see from the minutes there. We had $22,396 left. The total recommended disbursement of from this intake, not including, sorry, applications that we asked to rejig to give us more information, shipping quotes, etc. However, to cut to the chase, we would like to approve 10,822, giving us approximately 11,500 left over. The seniors have submitted a wish list based on if there was any leftover money that they would like to pursue to beef up their recreational abilities. Like a dartboard was in there, a bingo machine, couple of things, couple of things there anyway. So that will need a council approval to get that started. But there's also another reason why the actual lotteries application or guidelines policy was included. And it came to our attention that one thing that we're having one of the reasons why we're having issue helping groups out is because of the various timelines. One of those being we do not approve past, like you can't go to a hockey tournament and then say, I was at this tournament last month, I took this many kids, we spent this much money. You can't do it retroactively, you have to do it before, right? So due to the one intake in August, the volleyball team, which goes up to Divot in Dawson City, the Yukon Champs at the end of October. Nobody's thinking about volleyball going to Dawson City at the end of October in the middle of August. You know what I mean? So the volleyball team, for one, totally loses out on any sort of lottery funding, which this is specifically designed to help out. Right? So
So you're saying like you can't like say this is how much it cost us, can we get this money?
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't go backwards.
That's right. So like, if for them to do it, they would have had to say, well, it's gonna cost us like $4,000.
Well.
And then up,
sorry, just
hope to get it?
a question the other way, so what if they knew they were going in March and the deadline is February, they're like, we're going to this tournament in March, so we're submitting for February because we know we're going in March. Like to just be ahead of it a little bit, is that not?
There's, I mean, you could always include that now, and I now that I've actually read this part, because I thought to myself, I was like, we'll just submit it when it rolls around in September was the other intake, wasn't it? August, just now. I would just like to see the policy changed. To say like, we can help you out if, like in the past, because one of the things that you look for is, did you actually go? How many people went? What did you?
Do you have receipts? Yeah.
Do you have receipts?
So I guess my-
With those anyway, so.
Sorry to interrupt you, but my only other question, I guess, then is that town of Watson Lake policy point, or is this based on lotteries?
It is a town of Watson Lake policy, but it was, this last one was amended in the last year.
2021.
Yes, so, but it's amended based on recommendations from the advisory committee to council.
Right.
So if the advisory committee deems there needs to be some changes made, we would take those recommendations, we would have to reach out to lotteries to make sure they approve of the changes, and then it would come to council for a vote.
Did you guys discuss this at
We
the
did,
meeting? And everyone was in favor?
yes. And I'm taking vouch for that, if you don't believe me.
But
We believe you.
who else is there? I'm kidding.
We'd like to just change the part where we can do retroactively. Maybe not like, maybe have a timeline, but like, we're in this to help people, not
As long as it's within the year, or
within 6 months even. Because then you'd hit either one intake or the other. Versus like you always have to like be 4 months ahead of the game, right?
Yeah. I mean, if,
So could we ask for the community to write a letter for the changes they want? Like, and
All it is just.
submit it to you guys, right? I know, but wouldn't we have to have it, like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, get you guys to write,
All right, we can do that.
and then
Yeah,
we can give it.
with the
to-
proposed changes, and then
We will. deal
admin
with-
can vet it.
Administration
Lotteries.
will deal with the lotteries.
I will make that recommendation to the committee.
Thomas, I completely hear what you're saying, because I know the girls that went to Arctic Winter Games, it was really, really fast. And so they did their tryouts like in December, and then they were allocated to go, and then they're gone like in, just came back last week, so I mean, so it's super fast, some of these things. And because you guys only meet at specific times, then by the time they get it in, then it's already done, and now you're meeting. Do you know what I mean? So we couldn't even do an application because we knew that it would be done before you guys met. You know what I mean? And so that's the other thing. You guys only meet at specific times. So then these really quick turnarounds, it doesn't work for them. So then they don't get it. They can't even apply for funding because it's not retroactive, like you're saying.
Yeah, so we'll
So,
make that recommendation. We'll get a letter.
okay, sounds good. So can we get a motion to approve the total recommended disbursements for this intake?
Make a motion to approve the total recommended disbursements for this intake of $10,822.53.
I will second.
All in favor? Great. Do we need a motion for the special intake?
No.
To approve the special intake, you guys, that's within your, okay,
There will be one and.
February 15th. Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, and we'll wait for your recommendations. Thank you. All right, so that's it for agenda items. So now we have Counselor Open Forum. Who would like to start?
I have one quick silly thing.
Okay, go ahead.
My idea that I had that I really wanted to try it for a while, but it's for the fun night. And it's a human battleship where you have a big tarp put up in front of you and you get chairs laid out in a grid pattern and you use water balloons to play battleship and you throw it over the tarp. And if you obviously get hit, you get hit, and you have to figure out like where your ship would be and like which side wins. You have to be willing to get wet, and it's kind of cute, but it,
That'd be fun, I don't know, it could be a lot of fun.
and it's something different that people would not expect. And
It's warm.
I think it's in May.
Yeah.
It could be snowy.
No, you never know.
So
But-
when is this you were thinking about this?
For the, like, the fun night, the fun. night.
Oh, AYC night.
Yes.
Next council meeting.
You need at least like 25 people per side to make it really good, right? So. There's like people that, I think it is because they do like,
Written down.
okay, that's it.
Thank you, and I will consult you for further details. Counselor Burtis,
No, I'm good.
nothing?
Yeah.
Counselor Paquette.
Okay, so the dog situation, Cam, I just kind of wondered because now Cheryl won't be taking on any dogs. I just wondered about what partnership that was agreed to in respect to LFN. And if LFN is involved with all of this dog catching and driving them to Whitehorse. Or if they are supplying funding for that, or if it's all on the town's dime.
So the answer I can do really short, no, 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 and yes on us. They have not hired anyone. They have not come back, and they, as you know, they've been through another raft of executive directors over there. And then the capital manager was let go from that department that wasn't supposed to be in charge of it. I know they still have a job ad on their website for dog control or animal control officer, which has been there for a year. And we are still not dealing with anything out at 2 Mile or Upper the Yard. And unfortunately, on the other side of it, with Cheryl going, it has caused a ripple effect. And we've been dealing with numerous litters of puppies that have been surrendered. But fortunately, it was before Cheryl totally closed her doors, and she's been working, Connie's been working with her under my approval. So if Cheryl gets placements for puppies, then we've been driving her puppies up along with ours or other dogs. And she's been working with the territorial vet's office and Dr. Vandenkop's assistant Jay, I can't remember his last name anyways, to get them in, but with the issues at Maybacker right now, it's caused another ripple effect because it's really hard to get the animals moved in there. But that is Jay's responsibility to make them doors open and places for them to go. And then the hard to home animals go to Mansion to Tagish. So Connie's done 2 or 3 trips up to Whitehorse in the last couple of weeks, just to move those dogs out of the community, and she's really working the channels to get things going. So we'll see how that all plays out, but unfortunately, no support from the Yard First Nation at the moment.
Have you heard anything about that?
It was actually in the quarterly report there, and it stated that we were turned down.
And that it wouldn't be available till at least 2024, and so I just envision a major problem.
Unfortunately, yes,
Yeah.
but also with the new Animal Control Act that's been passed, hopefully they get their policies and guidelines in order, because that mandate will then fall on them.
Wasn't the solution to that problem because the other vets were from BC, but we could go down to BC, we could go to Lower Post and open up a clinic there because that's in BC. And if we could get like Daily on board.
Yeah, the problem is that vet from BC, she's said she's not traveling anymore.
Oh, well, there was
So
an idea.
that's out of the water, unfortunately. So hence, now with that new Animal Control Act, hopefully we're gonna be able to leverage the territorial vet's office to get somebody under contract to actually do that service. LFN actually did say they would step up, and if CAT was coming in, they were gonna pay, and YG came on board and said that they would have paid to give us $10,000 or $11,000 to go towards that initiative if CAT would have approved us.
Mhm.
So it would have put our costs and LFN's costs down to minimal. But
So
unfortunately,
one of your-
they're a volunteer organization, and if they don't, they get applications from all across Canada. And obviously, we didn't hit the checkbox. Sorry, Danina.
No, that's okay. It's just hard on Zoom sometimes. It's all good. So we're not picking up dogs in 2 Mile and Liard. Are we accepting dogs from 2 Mile and Liard?
So far, we have not been.
So,
We have accepted from Liard First Nation members who live in town limits. We've ended up with dogs from them, but we're not going out to the land set aside or intern protected lands to deal with dogs.
and then, so do we have, like, where's the funding coming from to be doing these multiple trips to Whitehorse?
It's coming out of the bylaw operating budget.
Oh, okay, they have their own budget. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Just wasn't sure if that was factored in or not, or maybe.
No, it's in my push and Connie's push is to get dogs out of the community as fast as they've been surrendered or we have title to them, not title, but ownership from them, or they were in our control so that they were our dogs. We try to get them out of town because otherwise we're feeding them and exercising them every day. And when it rolls over the weekends, we're paying Connie overtime to look after dogs. So the quicker we can get them out the door, the better it is for the community. And one trip to Whitehorse is the equivalent of us having to have Connie go in and look after them for the 2 days on a weekend. And if she's not on, then it's either myself or Glenn who are going in on weekends to look after the dogs. So we rotate.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was pretty much all I had. Thanks so much.
Mayor Irvin, did you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do not have anything for the council open forum today, so we'll move on to gallery open forum. We do have one person in the gallery today.
No, so you have two.
We have two, excuse me, we have one on Zoom as well. We'll start with a person in the gallery here, Birgit, welcome.
I'm not quite sure if I understood all correctly, but the reason why I came was actually section 5 and 6. Conservation officer, because I know my brother asked Mark at some point, because they bought a house here now in Francis Avenue, if he could go at some point when he takes the dog for a walk, where's actually the property, where's the town boundaries? Is there a possibility to take your 22 and go in the bush and shoot a grouse, for example? And Mark was saying that's very, you know, he couldn't come up with the answer, basically just the 1 kilometer away from the next property, but it's like, is there even, do we even have
A boundary?
a boundary
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
We do. I don't know if it's on the website or not on our map. It's on GeoYukon is where you can actually see it on the GeoYukon internet, the government web page. The community boundary actually can come up on the map there. It's not as easy as you would think.
The website's a little tricky, in my opinion. Yeah.
Sorry, Mayor Irvin, the question was, do we have a community boundary? Because Birgit was asking about brother-in-law living in town and wanting to walk out, from exercise his dog and maybe take his 22 and shoot a grouse, but where's the community boundaries and that type of thing, right? So under conservation, it is the limit is you have to be a kilometer from the nearest house, but also you can't be there's no discharge of a firearm in municipal boundaries. So
Right.
so that sort of really expands the area, right? Because of the 1 kilometer, some places the town boundary is really close to residents. and other places it's quite a ways away. So,
Or like walk up the ski hill and keep going and you run into a moose, can you hunt the moose? I don't
Yeah.
think so, right? I mean, but it's like,
Yeah.
is there really clear?
yeah, so that would, yeah, so our boundaries, like I say, it's on that, website. And if need be, I can assist to find that for you.
Mhm.
If, and then, yeah, then the other limit is 1 kilometer from the nearest residence.
Yeah.
And that's under the game branch regs.
All right,
And the next one was that the climate adaptation and infrastructure. We experiencing problems for the last 2 years with water in the spring flooding our property. I mean, I lived there 20 years now, and we never seen, last year was disaster. So, water in the yard forever, creeks running where there never were creeks, you know. We were wondering what's going on, you know, is that climate change related, is it infrastructure coming from, ditches along the highway, you know, I mean, it's just incredible. We did tons of work, got the branches in the basement and everything to hopefully this year it doesn't happen again because our basement was flooded, you know, creeks running where there never were creeks, you know, we bought big boulders to secure the shoreline, you know, because we have way more waves and way more wind and stuff like that, which is actually not, it's not our property, the shoreline, but we work there in order not to have the land erosion, you know, and it's like, it's insane, and we don't know where that water is coming from.
So, yeah, so I'm not sure, Mayor Urban, did you hear the question? Okay, so she was asking about, in related to part 6, the climate adaptation and infrastructure. And it's to do with the flooding coming from up by the ski hill. All those the underground streams and stuff are coming to the surface, causing issues with along property out by the lake. So she's wondering if we know the cause or if there's what the cause might be. And we're dealing with the same thing even at the ski hill. And a lot of it is due to the snowpack over the last couple of years. And the ground is so saturated right now because we had water damage actually in the ski chalet as well. And I've spoken to numerous residents along the stretch from Sunbees all the way along. And all the way down to Brian Anderson, that side, there's water coming out of the ground. Everywhere, and we've had to replace, road repair along sort of that where you turn it to go into Ernie Jameson's that side that way. Because of the saturation on the road, same thing going in towards Bergerons. And it's just due to the groundwater levels right now and from the snow melt, and same thing in town, we've got the same issues on the new fire hall lot there. Groundwater is maybe 5 feet down, and that's why empty lots got water laying on them right now. So hopefully, unfortunately, we don't want a dry year because then could go the other way with fires, but we need a sort of a semi-dry year to equalize and get that moisture out of the ground so that way we can get rid of those issues.
Yeah, I was wondering if that would fall into that association of people. They are, is that a program, but they.
Well, yeah, so that's something I'd have to look into because of the fact that it's groundwater, and I don't know how we would mediate it or how that would fall into funding, but that's something that I can look into and let you know.
And just a comment, I was part when the Hudson Lake Community Club, when it existed, regarding the volunteer appreciation. We did that every year, and as Laura said, we did from each and every group, they could name two volunteers that then got appreciation. We had a dinner, and what we did as present was, for example, we had mugs with a certain logo on it, we had t-shirts, or we had shopping bags that I still use, you know. So I think it would be nice to have something people can use instead of a trophy.
Yeah,
collecting dust forever, you know, and you end up with stuff. And also I like your idea with the composting. And I think it would be nice to consider that topic as a town hall meeting.
Great, so Mayor Irvin and Nina, the second comment was about the volunteer dinner, and is that it's a good idea to recognize, and she was part of the community club when the groups nominated 2 people from each organization, and they were recognized and they got something tangible. You know, I remember from when I first came here and being part of the writing association, you know, being recognized and we still got a coffee cup at the house of, you know, so there's those type of things. So, and it was very well received. Each organization recognized people. And so that is a very good thing. And sorry, I can't remember what the last one was.
Composting.
Oh, the composting. She's excited about the composting and
And if it could be,
thinks it should be talked about maybe brought up at the community town hall meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And I guess Ms. McLeod.
anything else, Birgit?
No.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. Patty McLeod.
Hi, and thanks. I just wanted to comment a bit on the composting thing as well. This is really the first I heard that there was a program. So, you know, a lot more information needs to get out to the people.
Yes, so
When I was,
sorry, Patty.
sorry?
No, the composting we've been doing right now has been by invitation, just to see if we can make it go in our environment. So hence the reason there hasn't been much talked about yet.
Yeah, well, you know, I heard you talking about having to do a better job at diversion, because that's what the Yukon government wants to meet their targets. And of course, I'm wondering how the Yukon government is going to help you get there, because it probably is going to take quite some effort. Anyway, I just put that out there as a comment. My other question was you know, having listened to the properties that were subject to tax liens, I'm wondering how many properties are currently in default, and what that number is year over year. Is it a problem that's getting worse, or is it kind of static?
I think it's we've improved from when I started.
Heck, yeah.
Sorry.
There's 17.
There's 17 on this year's list, and it's that list has been fairly constant. But I don't have the number off the top of my head, and unfortunately Shannon isn't here tonight. But that is a number that I can get and share with you and council.
Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing is that if there were 17 this year, there's usually 17 or in that neighborhood. So there's not a big influx of properties in default.
I can remember in the past between 30 and 45.
Yeah, it depends, and like I say, we've come a long ways, and even though there's 17 on the list as of today, I know Shannon's been in contact with pretty well everybody on that list, and they've been coming in slowly, and sometimes we've got to hound them, but they do come in because you know, people don't want to hit that stage, and unless they have to, and some of the people on the list are repeat year after year after year. So we go through this cycle. They don't pay, we approve the list, and it goes for advertisement in the paper. They come in, they see their name in the paper, somebody, their friends say, hey, you see your name in the paper. So then they come in and pay their taxes off. It's a cyclical thing.
Yeah. Okay, very good, thanks.
Thank you. That's it. Gallery open forum. Thanks for your good night.
Can I just make one last and final comment? I just want to recognize Courtney and Isabel for doing very well in the Arctic Winter Games. 2 local girls did very well. Isabel was actually nominated as the most the top, I guess, the top snowboarder in her age group. Girls 2000, born in 2006. So yeah, I think they did very well. So just wanted to recognize them.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Janina. They did do awesome. We're very proud of those girls for sure. Way to represent. All right, so we do have one in-camera item, which we will need a motion to enter into.
What if
I'll
we
make a
don't?
motion to go into camera.
Sorry, Councilor Paquette, you're making the motion?
I'm making the motion, yes.
Thank you. And we have a second. Great, thank you. So we will just pause the,
Oh, what would happen?
Second, I gotta pause.
I did, I just don't know. What happened?
To come out of camera.
no,
Your motion to come out of camera?
I'll second that motion.
thank you. So that is everything on the agenda. So
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
I'll second.
Thanks. Good night.